The ghost of Stull Cemetery. There is a small cemetery in Kansas that has become the center of one of America's darkest supernatural legends. It is called Stull Cemetery. From a distance, it doesn't look particularly frightening. Old gravestones, tall grass, trees moving in the wind, and an empty road leading into the darkness. But according to local legends, there is something about this cemetery that makes people afraid to enter after dark. For decades, stories have circulated about strange sounds, shadowy figures, unexplained lights, and a mysterious presence that some visitors claim they could feel watching them. But the most disturbing legend says that something far more sinister once appeared inside the cemetery, something people believed was connected to the devil himself. Tonight, we're going into the story of Stull Cemetery and the terrifying legend that made this quiet Kansas cemetery famous. The cemetery Stull Cemetery is located near the small community of Stull, Kansas. The area is rural, quiet, and isolated. There are no bright city lights surrounding it. At night, the darkness becomes almost complete. And that isolation is one reason the cemetery became the perfect setting for supernatural stories. Over the years, rumors began spreading about strange things happening there. Some people claimed they heard voices when nobody else was around. Others said they saw unexplained lights moving through the trees, and some visitors claimed they felt as if someone was standing behind them, watching. But there was one story that became much more famous than the others, the story of the Devil's Tree.
The Devil's Tree, according to the legend, somewhere near the cemetery, was a strange tree associated with supernatural activity. People claimed that the tree was different from the others. It was twisted, old, and surrounded by stories. Some versions of the legend say that people who touched the tree experienced strange sensations. Others claimed that the tree was connected to an old story about the devil appearing in the cemetery. There are different versions of the legend, and over time, those versions became mixed together, but the result was the same. Stull Cemetery developed a reputation as a place where something evil could be found. The midnight visit. Now imagine, it is around midnight. The road is completely empty. There are no cars, no houses nearby, only the sound of the wind moving through the trees. A group of young people decides to visit the cemetery. They've heard all the stories, but they don't believe them. They laugh about the rumors as they walk toward the cemetery. One of them says, "There's nothing here." Another turns on his flashlight. The beam moves across the old gravestones. Everything looks normal for several minutes. Nothing happens. Then, they hear a sound. A soft crack. Everyone stops. They look toward the trees. Nothing. One person laughs nervously. Probably just a branch. They continue walking. Then they hear it again. Crack. This time, it sounds much closer. The group stops talking. The wind becomes stronger. Leaves begin moving across the ground. And suddenly, one of them notices something. A dark shape, standing between two gravestones. He points his flashlight toward it. The beam hits the trees. Nothing is there. He lowers the flashlight, then raises it again. Still nothing. Everyone starts telling him that he imagined it, so they continue walking, but now, nobody is laughing. The footsteps. A few minutes later, one of them hears footsteps, slow footsteps, behind the group. Step. STP. Step. Everyone stops. The footsteps stop too. They turn around. Nothing. One person calls out, "Who's there?" Silence. Then, step. The sound comes again. But this time, it sounds closer. Step. Another step. The group begins walking faster. The footsteps continue behind them. Step. 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 One of them looks back. And for a moment, he sees a tall figure standing among the gravestones. The figure doesn't move. It simply stands there, watching. He turns away. Then looks back again. The figure is gone. He tells the others what he saw. Nobody wants to stay any longer. They turn around and begin running toward the road. But one person suddenly stops. He is staring into the trees. The others shout at him to keep moving. He doesn't answer. Then he whispers, "Look." Everyone turns, far inside the cemetery. A small light is moving, slowly, coming toward them. The light, at first, They think it's another person carrying a flashlight. But the light is strange. It doesn't move like a normal flashlight. It appears, then disappears. Appears again, closer, then disappears again. Nobody knows what it is. They begin running. The light follows them. At least, that's what it feels like. They finally reach their car. Everyone gets inside. The doors slam shut. The engine starts. The driver immediately turns on the headlights. The cemetery appears in front of them, empty. Completely empty. They drive away. Nobody speaks for several minutes. Then one person looks through the rear window, and he sees something. A figure, standing beside the cemetery entrance, watching the car disappear. What really happened? Stories like this have helped create the terrifying reputation of Stull Cemetery. But there is an important question. Is any of it true? There is no reliable evidence proving that the devil appeared at Stull Cemetery. There is also no verified evidence that supernatural creatures live there. Many of the stories are considered legends that grew stronger through repetition. Some details changed over the years. Stories were told, then retold, then exaggerated. And eventually, Stull Cemetery became one of America's most famous haunted locations. But that doesn't mean every person who visited experienced nothing. People can genuinely experience strange things in dark and isolated environments. A distant animal can sound like a human voice. A moving branch can look like a person. Fog can create strange shapes. And when someone already expects something frightening to happen, their brain can turn ordinary details into something terrifying. But there is still something unsettling about Stull, because even after all the explanations, the legend never really disappeared. The final story, there is one final image that makes the Stull legend so disturbing. Imagine standing inside the cemetery alone. It's after midnight. Your flashlight is the only light around you. You look at the gravestones. Nothing. You listen. Silence. Then, you hear a whisper. You turn around. Nobody. You shine the flashlight between the trees. Nothing. You begin walking toward the entrance. Then you hear footsteps. You stop. The footsteps stop. You walk again. Step, step, step. The footsteps follow. You turn around one last time. And there, between the old gravestones, is a dark figure. You raise your flashlight. The figure doesn't move. You blink. And suddenly, it is gone. You shine the light everywhere. Nothing. You tell yourself it was only a shadow, only your imagination. Then you hear a voice, directly behind you. A whisper, leave. You turn around. Nobody is there, but this time, you don't wait to find out who spoke. You run. And when you finally reach the road, you look back at the cemetery. The trees are still. The road is empty. Everything looks normal, except for one thing, a single light, moving between the graves, and then, it disappears. Maybe it was a flashlight. Maybe it was a car in the distance. Maybe it was nothing at all. But if the legends are true, perhaps some places are better left alone after dark, because sometimes, the scariest stories are the ones that refuse to die. This was the legend of Stull Cemetery, a quiet cemetery in Kansas, with a reputation that has lasted for generations. And whether you believe in ghosts, demons, or nothing supernatural at all, there is one rule worth remembering. Don't go looking for the darkness, because sometimes, the darkness finds you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay safe.